Hey lovely people, how's it going? Good to see you here on the newest edition of Dungeon Master Diaries with myself, Olli Dungeon Master, getting behind the DM screen and figuring out what's kind of going on in my head. So I've got a few things that I want to talk about in this little vlog cast thing, and essentially I want to start with the struggle of being a Dungeon Master, trying to figure out what each player wants from the session, essentially what they get out of D&D and how to balance that. Now, I know that I've got some players in some of my games that love combat, and that's their favourite thing, and they like trying to outwit their opponents and come up with ways that they can defeat these great grand creatures, which is cool, it's awesome. So I can throw in, interesting combats. I want to make it, challenging for them, but not so much that it's a TPK, obviously. But more than anything, I want them to think about combat in new ways. I don't want to think just run up and attack it, that's too easy. So there has to be those beautiful wisdom saves and dex saves and all that kind of stuff, just to keep it interesting for them. And that's fairly easy to balance, because as a DM you do a lot of combat. It's part of D&D. It's one of the main integral parts. So that's a bit easier. What's more difficult is some players want a lot of heavy roleplay. They want their characters to be able to be in character and talk to NPCs and be part of the story. Some players want to explore the world and find out more about the cultures of the peoples and the histories of the lands and the places. Some players like puzzle solving. They want to try and put the pieces together and go into rooms with mirrors and buttons and all that kind of stuff. Now, those are a lot of different elements that trying to give each of those elements its own time. And get these players getting what they want out of the session can be a really challenging thing as a dungeon master, because that's a whole lot of different elements. So with roleplay, and certainly with certain character specific episodes, I do try and give each player in my games an equal amount of time. I don't want people to think, oh, it's another he's got another half-hour roleplay session this week kind of thing. So I really want to balance that. One thing that I do is I will have pretty much every week there'll be not a main character, but certainly a main focus for one part of the session. So each character feels that they get their spotlight, their sun, which is again something that you really want to be mindful of as a dungeon master. So I will have certain story elements, like in the last episode, Raiko actually meets his deity, Corellin, and Corellin gives him an ocarina. Now that was me consciously putting in a bit of Raven-centric, bit of Raiko as bit of the centre stage for that moment. And I'm really trying to do that fairly justly and equally. But then you add the other element of, okay, but each player wants to get something different, not just social encounters, but combats, and not just combats, but puzzles and roleplay. That makes it a lot more difficult, because a lot of the time, like 90% of the time, the party is acting as a group, and trying to get individuals to experience different parts of the spectrum that is the DM's palette, then that makes it tough. It's tough, and it's something that I'm trying to do. It's something I'm trying to work on. I don't think I'd be able to get every aspect of D&D into every session. So what I'm trying to do instead is watch myself and go, okay, that last episode had a lot of social. This episode, I'll throw in a bit of combat. And of course, as a Dungeon Master, you never know that's going to actually work, but you plan for it. So I'm just trying to, and you might notice this as I run my games, trying to shift and bring my players through all the different wondrous things you can find in D&D. And I'm still coming up with new ones, and I'm still discovering things like, oh, I never thought you could do that in D&D, through watching Matt Mercer and Adventure Zone and stuff. So yeah, always trying to balance it, always trying to balance the players and get, because you want everyone to enjoy it, and you want them to feel like, occasionally, yes, that's exactly what, that's why I play. The second thing about, still on the topic of balance, essentially this episode's all about balance. And I just spilled a whole lot of thing on my legs. I do that a lot. I should really just stop spilling things, but about balancing the improv with the planned stuff. When I first started, I had everything planned. Every encounter, every NPC, every quest was laid out in my book in front of me. And while that was fun and cool, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You have to allow room for improv, because the players will throw things at you that you just literally cannot anticipate and sometimes even comprehend. But what I try to do now is I have the main plot points and I will improv around them. So the same stuff kind of happens, it's just not in a set way. They need to find out about, for example, Silencia and Fangoria. There was like a lot of like muddle in my head of should they hear about them? Should they meet them? And I thought, okay, they have to figure it out at some point. I'll just improvise depending on where they go. And ended up going into the temple, so they got to meet them. So I still had the NPCs planned, I had their story planned, I had their motivations planned, I even had their stats planned, but I did not nail down, okay, this is definitely how they meet them, because I knew it was going to change. The only problem is, I'm an improviser. I've been doing improv since I was like 13, 14. At high school I started doing improv. Performed in the theatre sports competitions back then, and I've gone on to perform pretty much on every stage in Wellington and Cork Theatre and Christchurch. Just because. So I love to improv, but the balance comes in where you improv too much, and then at the end of the session, you find yourself going back and saying, holy crap, I mentioned this, I invented these NPCs, suddenly now the book is over there, or, oh my god, that note I just realised that I got makes no sense. Which happened in the last game of Black Winter Nights. I improved some stuff about the note, and then, I planned the note, I had it written down, but I literally gave it to them, but the thing about not being in Froman's handwriting, because I just, in the moment, I was like, oh, actually, no, I'll make it like this, and then when I watched it back, I was like, oh my god, that makes no sense. So I've literally just spent the last, God knows how long, the last half hour to an hour, just undoing my own mess from the improv from last week's Black Winter Nights. Now I've got it sorted. Another thing you learn in improv is being able to turn mistakes into wins and thread things together that previously did not make sense. So I've got it sorted now, and it all makes sense now. But for an hour ago, I was going, oh my god, how am I going to work this? I just did too much improv. So it's that balance thing of balancing the improv and the planning. I think, I'm trying to find a harmony between the two and find out what parts work as improv and what parts just dig me deeper into that hole. Another thing I want to talk about is coming up with new ideas. Now, this is fun as hell. I love coming up with new ideas. But also challenging as hell, because a lot has happened in both games so far. We've been playing for months now in each game, and it's really difficult to come up with something, because just before when I was writing, I was like, oh, okay, they'll get lured in, and then it'll turn out that they're being betrayed. And then I was like, but wait, I did that exact same thing already. And I was like, damn, so scribble that out. And it's like, I know, what I'll do is I'll send them on a quest. And I was like, oh, no, I've done that as well. So it's a challenge, but it's a fun challenge, I think. And I just know it's going to get harder as the campaigns roll on, because I'm going to be using more and more ideas. It's going to be more difficult to be original. But it's still fun. And now I've got this kind of a bit more zen focus on how to write for the games. In which case I will just meditate, essentially, on the main events and the NPCs. My motivations and what I want to happen, the things that I have not discovered, and then each individual player. So, for example, just now, I've just been writing, I literally filmed this right after I'd been writing, because D&D was on my mind. I was just thinking, okay, Throminash back. Cool. Something big has happened there, and I was just thinking of all the different angles. And then I thought, okay, and I've got these bad guys, and I know what their motivations are, and then I was just like, I could tie it in like that. And I was like, no, that doesn't make sense, because then I couldn't use this bit of storytelling. And I don't want to give too much away, because this is for a future session. But then I just kind of go, yeah, okay, meditate, and I just go, okay, what if those guys thought that he was going to threaten them, so oh no, that doesn't work. And I was like, wait, what if they want him gone, so that they can take power from, and all that kind of stuff. And I just think of it from different angles, and after an hour, I had it sussed. And then what I do is, so once the plot points are done, then I focus on each individual character. And this is going back to the wanting to get your players getting something out of the sessions, and certainly feel like, they've been really involved, and they got their time to experience and explore their characters. I will individually meditate on each character, and I was thinking about Gorstag, and I thought, okay, what are the main things going on for Gorstag at the moment in the west coast of Ucast? And immediately my mind went, well, Al from Duskin, his love interest, essentially. And I thought to myself, now how can I tie that in an interesting way? If you want to see how, check out the next episode of Black Winter Nights. Just kidding. It's like self-promotion. You're already watching the channel and I'm plugging it anyway. So coming up with new ideas is a challenge, but a fun challenge, I think. I'd love to talk briefly, because we have already covered this topic quite extensively on the GM Journey, which is one of our shows on iTunes and Spotify with Will Piercelow, who plays Gorstark. So we've already kind of done this, but I just wanted to mention, as a DM, sometimes, especially when I'm improvising like a vision or something, I've realised a couple of times I've gotten way too dark, and it's just been distressing. And I really don't want to affect my players in a negative way. I want them to have like emotional reactions to the story, but I feel like I've gone too far in a couple of instances. The zombie babies, I think, were a bit disturbing. And we're all here to have fun. It's about writing a story, and it's about writing a story together. So I'm trying to avoid that. But it's just something to be aware of. Distressing content can be difficult. And I'd like to finish up this episode just by talking briefly about what D&D means to me. And it's the most fun experience that I've had in a while in terms of new passions and hobbies. But as I say, a hobby is an understatement. I live D&D. I run 2 games a week and I play in 3 games a week. I'm just saving up to buy Volo's Guide to Monsters. For those of you who don't know, I work in a gaming store that sells D&D supplies, so I get staff discount on that. In fact, I convinced our boss to order in the Tal'Dorei setting, Matt Mercer's campaign book, just so I could buy it at staff discount. But don't tell her that. So yeah, essentially D&D means the world to me. It's a really fun couple of hours that I look forward to every week. And it's just cool hanging out with awesome people and telling these stories together. So that's all I have for this episode of DM Diaries. Thanks for coming along. And I hope you have a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Just sending a lot of love, basically. Thanks for enjoying what we do, and thanks for checking out our content, because it makes us really happy. Bye.